if you've been trying to change something in your life, but you keep falling right back into old routines and old patterns, I'm going to show you why that happens, and I'm going to teach you how we can actually break the pattern and escape that cycle so that we can actually make changes that we actually want in our life and get better results that we want in our life. So think of these, your brain and the mind, as having a whole bunch of neurological networks. And the act of repetition, doing something over and over and over again, once you learn something, it's like, oh, I learned how to get dressed when I was, I don't know, 6 years old, 5 years old. I don't know what the normal age is. Some of you guys with kids might know that, but let's say it's 6 years old. I learned how to dress myself, okay? Well, once I've learned this, for one, I didn't know how to do it before. So once somebody taught me, well then I basically, neurons fired together and allowed me to learn something new, right? So these neurons in our mind, in our brain, fired together and allowed me to learn something new. Well, now that I repeat that action over and over and over again, like I always put my left leg on my my jeans or my pants, I always put my left leg in first, and I put my right leg on. Then I put my socks on, and then somebody else might put their socks on first, and it's their right foot and then their left foot. But there's a pattern that you do it, and you've done it over and over and over again. And as you do that, these neurological networks get stronger and stronger. That's why Dr. Joe Dispenza, if you haven't read or studied any of his stuff, he's got Evolve Your Brain, Breaking the Habit of Being You, You Are the Placebo, and also Becoming Supernatural, right? So I highly recommend reading all of his books. But this is how I understand it, is that the repetition, that's why he always says neurons that wire together or that fire together, wire together, right? So they fire and then they wire together. So after so many repetitions, this becomes stronger and stronger and stronger. This getting dressed, right? This is just one little patch of neurons that have linked together that you've done in repetition over and over again, and you don't even have to think about it anymore. Your mind, now that you learned it, has trained your body how we're going to put our clothes on. Well, you have a ton of those. You've got like driving. You've got driving home in particular. You've got brushing your teeth. You've got taking a shower. Exercise, maybe, whether you exercise or not, you know how you could exercise. Reading, typing, scrolling, what you look for when you go into the pantry. Like, chances are you have repeated these patterns over and over and over again. And as you do, they wire together and they get stronger and stronger and stronger. And the repetition basically trains your body. So now you can just think, I'm going to grab something to eat. I go to the pantry and I don't even think about what I'm grabbing because I'm not in the present moment. I'm just on autopilot. We operate on autopilot most of the time. And in order to break these strong, wired together neurological connections in our mind that just allow us to be on autopilot so that our brains don't actually have to think or work, the number one thing that we have to do, that we've got to get control over, is we have to become aware. That's the difference, not the difference, but that is the factor that allows you to create a change, to create something new. Otherwise, you just go from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing on autopilot all day long, never using your mind really. So to break that, we've got to become aware of the present moment. You've got to stop yourself and say, what do I want to eat? And if I'm trying to lose weight, well then, instead of just grabbing the chips or grabbing something that I normally would grab, I have to become present and aware and say, I'm going to make a new decision. And as soon as you do that, you're changing the future. Like, you are changing your future. And so the more aware that you can become throughout the day, each and every day, the more that you can logically think through your decisions and your actions is going to determine the future that you create for yourself. And eventually, if you had a bad habit and you do that over and over and over again to make a new decision, to choose a new opportunity that is a better decision, something that's going to serve you in the future, then eventually those neurons will wire together. They'll fire together first, and then they'll wire together. So maybe I always grabbed the Doritos, or over here I've got what you look for in the pantry. Let's say this is your normal neurons that fired together and then wired together. Well, if I want to change that and I become present and aware and I say, I'm going to eat an apple instead, right? Okay, well, I've got, if I've eaten an apple before, I've got a neurological little map here of how I normally eat an apple, because people eat apples differently. Some person, every single time they grab one, they're going to slice it up. Some people will peel it. Some people will just take it and eat it. Maybe you wash it before you eat it, right? You have a pattern. You have something that you do every time you eat an apple. So once we make this decision by waking up and being aware and being present, then now we can allow for a new opportunity, a different choice. Every time we get bored, let's say, I mean, we've got neurological connections of positive, like neural networks of positive thoughts, negative thoughts, getting ready for bed, what you do when you're bored, and millions of others, right? Little pockets of information that you've already experienced, you've already learned, and anytime you think, I'm going to grab my headphones. That's all I have to think. Now, all I'm looking for is headphones. Look for my headphones. I didn't even have to tell my body to reach out and grab the headphones. I didn't have to really think about it. I was just on autopilot. So think about the present moment. Be aware and stop that and interrupt that. That's the only way you're going to change your behavior. Otherwise, you're just going to run on autopilot, because your brain is trying to conserve energy. And when you're running on autopilot, it doesn't use much energy. But when you interrupt it, you're using more energy, because you're actually thinking for yourself and acting and behaving for yourself instead of just letting the old program run. And the goal is to create a whole bunch of new positive habits, positive programs. This also goes for when we want to learn something new, right? So let's say I learn a new exercise. Well, I know some exercises, so I understand, I understand the basics of several different exercises, but then I want to learn a new exercise. So I do it, and all of a sudden I'm creating a new neurological network, if you will. I don't know what the scientific name for it is, but I can associate exercising because I already know how to do. For instance, it's like bench versus dumbbell bench, right? Barbell bench versus dumbbell bench. Well, because I already know how to barbell bench, if I've never used dumbbells before, I have a reference. So I'm referencing that in my mind, and now I can make the new connection on what it feels like and how to do safely dumbbell bench press, for instance. And I create neurons that fire together, and then they wire together. So the next time I go to do it, it's already wired together. I already know how to do it. So I'm going to flip this over real quick, and I'm going to show you another thing from Becoming Supernatural. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so when we want something to change, and we want to become more aware and more present to the thing that we want to change, there are a few steps before we go right into doing those things that Dr. Joe talks about. He talks about how we have to have clear intentions plus elevated emotions equals a new energy. So if we want to tackle something from a new perspective, from a new energy, from a new mind, then it's good if we just think through, what are the intentions? What do I actually want, right? So let's say I wanted to exercise because I want a healthy, fit body. Well, my intentions would be to three times per week exercise, right? I would probably maybe eat less. I would choose better foods. I would maybe go to the gym, and I would read. I'm going to read about, that's my intention, is to learn. I'm going to learn what fit people do and make sure that I'm trying to do, because success leaves clues, right? So if I want to learn what fit people do, well, then I might go follow some fitness influencers, start following them, or find some books to read on fitness, depending on what my goals are in fitness. Next is your feelings. How are you going to feel? What are you going to feel when you get the body that you want and you're super fit and super sexy, right? How will you feel? How do you want to feel? So it might be, well, I want to feel sexy, right? I want to feel athletic. I want to feel good, maybe. I just want to feel good, right? I want to be able to walk 6 miles without getting out of breath, right? Or without getting tired. Or I want to, how will I feel? Well, I'd feel happy, right? I might feel happy. Might feel proud. Let me put that instead of the walk the 6 miles. Feel proud of myself, like for saying that I wanted to do something and then I actually did it. I'd feel proud of myself. So these are the intentions, and here's the emotions, which are the feelings that we're going to feel. Now that you've done that, what he says is to put draw a letter that represents what this new fit body is. So that's up for you to decide. I'm just going to say B for body. And then with that B for body, he says you're going to draw two lines like this, squiggly lines. This represents your energetic electromagnetic field around this intention and these feelings that you want for your new body. And they've got these little lines, like this is all protruding outwards, right? And then if we are going to set our intentions, and if we're going to use meditations, then we would maybe review what our intentions are and what our emotions are, so that we can really feel these elevated emotions of what it would feel like if it were already so. So same with like goals. When you write goals, you want to write them in the present tense as if they've already occurred. Well, this is the same way. You want to feel as if you're already there and the body that you already want is here. And then if you can bring that feeling into your normal day, every day, way of feeling, way of acting, way of talking, way of walking, right? If you can do that, then this is a new energy. It's not the old energy, it's a new energy. And the more you live into this, the more that you're going to attract into your world the body that you're setting out to create with your intentions and your emotions. So hopefully I explained this somewhat in a way that's comprehensible. This is how it makes sense to me. Is you've got all these neural networks, then the only way to break those, like once we get into a pattern, that's why when people set New Year's resolutions, like a week or two into the New Year's resolution, they go right back to the old way, because they allowed the old way to just override the system. Because there was probably a time where they said, let's say if somebody wanted to exercise, because that's a very popular one, and they said, well, I'm tired today. And they just didn't override their mind and their body saying that they're tired. You have to manually override it, and it's tough in the beginning. It's tough no matter what habit you're trying to break, what new habit you're trying to include or build. It's tough in the beginning. But over time, it becomes easier and easier and easier, because those neurons that fired together wire together, and the wiring becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, and all of a sudden you've got a new habit. So now there was a study in The One Thing, Gary Keller's The One Thing, that book, and they said it was 66 days. It was like the University of London, I believe. 66 days it took for a new habit to become so ingrained that you felt weird not doing the thing, that new thing that you implemented, that new habit that you began doing. So if you can just fight it for 66 days, then what you'll find is that the next time it comes up, let's say it's exercise for some reason, if exercise is your thing, and your mind says, well, I'm tired today. Well, no, after 66 days, you're gonna be like, no, I just feel too weak if I don't exercise. I gotta go lift, right? So it's gonna be tough those first 66 days. A lot of people say it's 21 days or 30 days, and it's longer than that, because the longer that you've been doing those old patterns that was on the back side of the board here that I showed you, the more ingrained those are in just your everyday routines and habits. I mean, it's going to take a lot to break that. So it takes repetition, it takes awareness, and it's always going to take action. So I hope this was helpful. I'll see you guys on the next one. This is your moment. Break those bad habits, become a new you, bring a new energy to the table every single day. Love you guys. See you on the next one.